Hey there, we're the Stewarts. This is my husband Hunter. He's smart, funny, loving, and he's pretty cute too. And this is me, Carly. Hunter and I have been married for about a year now. And these are our fur babies, Canyon and Summit. We adopted both of these sweet boys from rescues. Hunter and I grew up in a small town in southern Maryland and had every intention of buying a house and settling down there together. Until we started traveling. Every chance we could get, we would take off work and explore the U.S. It didn't take long for us to realize that we were happiest when we were traveling, hiking, and just enjoying the outdoors together. So we decided that we had to find a way to live everyday life like that. We bought a retired school bus in January 2021, spent 9 months converting it into our tiny home on wheels, quit our jobs, sold everything, and hit the road. With no real itinerary planned, we have no idea where the road will take us next. If you would like to join us along our travels, click the subscribe button below for a new video every Friday. Welcome back to our channel. Last week we were in Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado, and this week we're in Moab, Utah. Yet again, we had a beautiful drive as we went from one destination to another. Our 6-hour journey first started out surrounded by pine trees, then the scenery slowly transformed into cacti and then finally red rock. Our first stop was Canyonlands National Park. It's funny how often our destinations have either Canyon or Summit's name in the title. My dad had flown in from Maryland to join us on this trip, and we were so glad that he did. He chose to join us here because he had never been to Moab before, and we were so excited to share his first experience there together. Just like in Rocky Mountain National Park, it wasn't too crowded here, and we were thankful for that. After being spoiled once again, we wondered how we could ever go back to visiting national parks during the summertime. We just about had the trail all to ourselves, and the people that we did pass complimented the dogs on how cute and handsome they were. Wherever we take the dogs, just about everyone that passes by ends up asking us what type of breed they are, if they're siblings, if they're a father and son, and what breeder we got them from. They are always surprised to hear that we got them both from different rescues and they're different shepherd mixes. We love that having them out with us sparks conversation and informs people that you can easily find a beautiful and well-behaved dog in any shelter. This was not at all the warm weather we were expecting on our way here, but nonetheless it was very cool to experience something new here. And since all our belongings are in the bus, we easily were able to change our wardrobe to fit the temperature outside. This was the third time that Hunter and I had been to Moab together, and we were pleasantly surprised to see snow on the ground. There wasn't much of it, but it was crazy contrast from being there during the summer. The dogs enjoyed snacking on some snowballs while we took a break along the trail. After completing our first hike, we drove a little farther through the park to get to Falls Kiva Trail. This is an unmarked trail in the park that isn't listed in any brochures or on the website. We luckily were able to find it when planning out our first road trip in 2019. We found it on AllTrails when we were looking up the best rated hikes in the park. Just like the other times we had hiked this trail, we had it all to ourselves. Since we were visiting in the off-season, we'd see a few people along the other trails, but on this one, not a soul in sight. This trail is located in the Island of the Sky district of Canyonlands National Park. It's named for the archaeological site that's at the end of the trail. The Kiva, or stone circle, has unknown origin and purpose. This is why it's named False Kiva. Whether or not the Kiva is authentic, the hike is beautiful. It's insane how far into the distance you can see. Another really neat thing about this trail is that the only markings are cairns. With nothing other than the stacked rocks to follow, this trail felt much more remote than the one we did earlier. We spent that evening exploring the shops and having dinner in downtown Moab, and the next day we headed to Arches National Park. While my dad and Hunter walked out to take a look at the first few arches of the day, I made us some cinnamon rolls. We like to fuel our hiking days with a great breakfast. This one may not have been too nutritious, but it definitely tasted good. Hunter and my dad are out exploring Arches. I stayed back to cook some breakfast and keep the sleepy puppies company. I do not mind one bit, because even the view just from where we're parked is beautiful. Our next stop was Sandbox Arch. Most people come to Sandbox Arch, take a picture in front of it, and leave. But if you keep walking past the arch and start climbing up Red Rock, you're in for a surprise that most people don't get to see. This area is like a natural jungle gym of Red Rock. It's fairly safe and easy to climb and a lot of fun. It felt funny that we had just been in vast forests, and now we were surrounded by red rock walls, formations, and arches. That's another part of bus life that we love. Whenever you're ready for a new view, you just start driving. And it doesn't take much driving for the landscape and the weather to change. So many parts of our country are so different, and you really have to see it to believe it. We always love seeing any type of wildlife in the parks. At Arches, we saw a bunch of ravens. It was crazy to see what big birds they were. We drove a little farther down the road to get to Delicate Arch. Yep, that's the arch that you see on the Utah license plate, the famous arch that's on almost every t-shirt for Moab. We were very curious to see how many people would be on this trail. Yes, it was the off-season, but this is one of the most popular hikes in the park. While in Colorado and now in Utah, we took plenty of breaks along every hike because we were still getting used to the change in elevation. We were used to being back home in Maryland at sea level, and out west it is totally different. Although it had been a few weeks since we left home, our bodies were still not used to it, and we needed extra breaks and extra water. As we rounded the corner and got a good look at Delicate Arch, we were pleasantly surprised to see that there was only a small crowd that had gathered there to take in the view. Our prior experiences with Delicate Arch were that there was always a long line to be able to get a picture in front of it. That was not the case this time, but we were prepared for possible crowds with a plan of walking around the other side of the arch for pictures. Although there wasn't a long line, we walked around the arch anyway to get a new perspective of it. So if you ever find yourself at Delicate Arch during a busy time, just walk around the other side. Overall, this short trip was an incredible experience to share with my dad. After dropping him off at the Salt Lake City airport, we were headed for a new destination once again. We had the vision of palm trees and beaches in mind. If you have a guess as to where we were headed, leave it in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and we'll see you next Friday.